Hey friends, welcome to this week's video. I'm playing with a bunch of audio recently just to try to make things sound a little bit better and making sure we have a little bit cleaner audio. I've been kind of going through some of the old videos just to see on places I can improve, and I've bought a bunch of different audio things to help sort of improve that aspect of my videos. So over the next few weeks I'll be playing around with a bunch of different stuff, from different amplifiers to different recorders and microphones, so that we can have a little bit cleaner audio going forward. Let me know how it's going, but there might be some transitions in that perspective. But for this week, in terms of the review that we're going, we are revisiting a company called Muzen. We've done a ton of their speakers in the past. We've done their OTR, which is their big boy. We've done their smallest one of their button, and one of the most recent one was the Wild, which is one of my favorite speakers to carry around the city just because it's so portable and packs a big punch. The rugged nature of it is also great. If you guys want to see that review, check the link above, because we've done a full breakdown of this. However, they've come up with an updated model, very similar aesthetics. However, it is a little bit more cute in terms of it has a lot more features in terms of lights and other things like that, but have very similar specs to what we were used to with the Wild. But with this in hand, let's check out the specifications and see what's different about this and if it fits your needs. So before we talk about the build, I do want to make sure that you guys have an understanding of the differences between the two variations that are available for purchase of the Muzen Cybercube. You have the premium version, which is the fidget spinner version that runs for $160 MSRP, and I think it's on promotion for like $143 right now. And then you have a non-fidget spinner version, which just has a grill on it, and that one I don't have on hand, but it's running for $116 on promotion and $130 normally when it's not on sale. In terms of the specifications, they're basically the same from everything I see, and I can't imagine that they'd tune them dramatically different. However, when we talk about the Mini later in the review, I might change your mind. So unfortunately, I don't have the non-premium version on me, I just have this one, but I still kind of like it. I mean, check out how dope this fidget spinner is. It runs for a decently amount of time. I thought it was going to be sort of janky, but it's relatively smooth. The Muzen Cybercube is wonderfully packaged like all Muzen speakers, with a tote bag, relatively minimalistic packaging, and a cool box. Not quite as exuberant as the OTR or the Wild, but still a pleasant unboxing experience. The speaker comes in either a gray or white option, with the white having a particular pop with its frosty matte vibes. The grill on this one has a fidget spinner as its main attraction on its face, and did I mention how smooth it was? It's literally been going for the last 40 seconds and hasn't stopped yet. You can also remove that faceplate if you want to lube it up for a better spin. Overall, the build feels extremely nice in hand due to its metal casing and components. You will find rubber feet on the bottom as well as the back, so you can lay the speaker a couple different ways while you play your music without having the table rattle when you have it at full blast. The labels and decals are all nicely painted and maintain the matte aesthetic throughout. All of the hinges and bars also seem to be well constructed with screw fastenings. From the controls perspective, they run the same config as the Muzen Wild. Springy dial for the power and Bluetooth connectivity, the tension wheel for the track seeking and play and pause functions, as well as a 3-mode flashlight for your nighttime jam sessions. And of course, my favorite thing, the giant volume knob that's clicky, responsive, and satisfying. One additional button on the Cybercube that the Wild does not is this button on top of the volume knob that allows you to turn off the RGB ring if you want to be more stealthy or conserve on battery. Which is kind of a nice segue into the next section. From a battery perspective, I think it's pretty commendable. I was able to get over 6 hours with this, which is similar to what I would get with the Wild. Obviously, this one has the RGB, so there's concern there, but it kind of is alleviated by the fact that it does have 200 milliamps more than the Wild in terms of battery, so it should be able to compensate for that light always being on. However, again, comparable in terms of how long it'll last, and 6 hours is pretty decent for a speaker in general. Obviously, there's some bigger speakers out there will have a lot longer battery, but look how small this guy is. Come on. But I will say, finally, Muzen has listened to its customers and they have upgraded their charging ports to USB-C. And for y'all, might be like, isn't that sort of a thing by now? Absolutely. However, if you've seen every single one of my Muzen reviews so far, they all have been using micro USB, and that is my biggest trending gripe with Muzen, and I'm glad that they're finally making that transition to USB-C. It is a little bit more pricey to get that sort of certification on there, but I'm glad that that is now part of their lineup, and I hope it's part of their lineup going forward. So Muzen, thank you so much for making that transition and giving us this simplicity in charging. It's great to see this, and I hope to see it on all of your future products. With charging out of the way, let's get on to the sound. While unboxing the CyberCube, they look very, very similar to what the Wild was offering in terms of metal aesthetics, controls, the bars, the grills, just everything around it seemed so similar that I didn't think that the sound signature was going to be that much different. However, going into this and spending all this time listening to this, I mean, it's literally changed into nighttime since we put so many hours in this that I had to change the lighting around. We've noticed a lot more differences than we'd expect. With the CyberCube, it's really good for acapellas and it's really good for EDM. Anytime that you need a vibe or if you want to have an intimate setting, the CyberCube seems to be excelling at that point. Artists like Sam Smith sound beautiful, especially like with his first album. It was really, really good since a lot of that is really stripped down or it has like layered instruments like slowly. His voice isolated really, really nicely. And also with like EDM songs, because there's less lyrical like content in there and there's like a lot more bass, a lot more synth. It just has a better vibe for those songs. It works really well with those and it sounds more full as a result because of how it blends. However, the Mini, where that exceeds, is where you need a little bit more discerning or you're a little bit more critical listener, where there's separation of instruments. So if there's complex compositions or, you know, things like R&B, where some of the bass, if you don't have that sort of discerningness, it could get muddy on the CyberCube. They don't get muddy on the Mini, on the Mini Wild. So for the Wild, I would say that's good for R&B and pop, where those instrument separations are a little bit more prevalent. So like we saw that on Bruno Mars and Charlie Puth, that those tunings and how they've sort of mixed those songs sound better on the Mini because of the fact that it's more neutral. It's not as dramatically tuned as the CyberCube. So because it's more neutral, the voices shine out without getting distorted and everything stays pretty level. So it's really just going to depend on what you're looking for in terms of a sound and how you listen and what genres you listen to. But I think the only way that I can really help you guys out is give you some samples. And I'm not going to have all the genres that I mentioned. I was just mentioning those to sort of help you out with you picking which speaker's better for you. But I will try to get some different instrumentation and vocals in there just so you guys get a perception. Sorry if I can't get everything. I know that you guys want like more big breakdowns on certain songs. I'm looking for ways to do that. It's just that every time I try to do it, I get copyrighted. So please forgive me. But for now, just enjoy the sound samples. One thing to note about these recordings are that these samples are all recorded 6 feet away with each speaker being at 70% volume. I'm using an H6N with the native microphone array set at 5. This room is not sound treated and there are no windows open, so it should be a relatively solid representation of a standard living room in the city. All these tracks can be found off of Chill Hop, so if you like what you hear, check out the links below and support the artists.
us to spend our lives just selling ourselves to get attention. It's all you get recognized for. What's the point of it all? What's the point? Is there no sense at all? I need to know. What's the point of it all? Oh, tell me, baby. Is there no sense at all? Guess I can change the way it is. Just meant to be struggling, but nothing really matters to me. As long as I got you, baby, I try to focus on what's right, even if it's confusing. But nothing really matters to me. As long as I got you, baby. As I got you.
Outside the actual sound signature and how these things are tuned, you will also notice that there's going to be a difference in projection. The Mini Wild, or the Wild Mini, is really good at giving you that sort of 360 projection, even though it is a directional speaker. So what we did notice is walking around the house or just leaving it in the middle of a table, it did perform a lot better in terms of making sure everyone could hear the sound without it really being too different. So it's really good if you're in the park having a picnic or just hanging out with friends in a circle and everyone be able to hear their music in a non-strange way. But for the Cybercube, it's a lot better directional. So if it's in front of you, it sounds better. But if you turn it around or you're behind it, you're just not going to get the same sort of quality that you would. So depending on your use case, again, you're going to have to figure out which one's best for you. For the Cybercube, obviously, I would just keep that in the corner of a room so that it's directionally facing your audience that's listening. You'll have more flexibility with the Wild Mini. But let me give you some sound samples again to show you how the projection works for each speaker, and hopefully that'll help you figure out which one meets your needs. So I know there's a lot to consider, especially with that comparison at the end, but I can say there's a lot to love about the Muzen Cyber Speaker, and I can recommend it, especially if you want something that's more directional and intimate with a boomier low end. It definitely emphasizes that bass a little bit more, so if that's the music that you listen to and you really want that thump, this will do a lot better, especially if you like, the aesthetic of the Cybercube. However, if you want something a little bit more balanced, spread the music out a little bit more, that will emphasize vocals a little bit more cleanly, you have the Muzen Wild. They look very similar, and I thought that they would perform exactly the same. However, they seem to meet different niches and different needs, so just pick the one that you want. You'll be happy regardless. They're really similarly priced. It really just comes down to the aesthetic that you want and the sound signature that you want to emphasize for these particular speakers. But Muzen's got you regardless, so check out the links below and see what you want to buy, or if you want to buy. But anyway, I appreciate you guys being very accommodating for my schedule. I've had a lot of people competing with different sports and the Boston Marathon happening, so I've been trying to support them. Haven't had a ton of time to shoot, but still trying to get you guys content out every week. So keep an eye out for that. We are going not only back to normal schedules, but also back to normal content. We've retired all the snow stuff. We're going back to speakers, earbuds, and all the sort of stuff that you guys are normally used to. And hopefully we can get back into live streams once I get my sort of handle back on everything that's coming in. We got a lot more things coming in that people are sending through, as well as requests that I need to make sure I get to you guys as well. So we'll probably get closer to, like, as we get closer to summer, I'll be able to hit some of those requests, but keep them coming in the comments. I'd love hearing from you guys, seeing what you guys want to see. And I'm also trying to keep up on the new releases, things like new earbuds coming from Sennheiser that you guys have been asking about. So definitely check out my Twitter, check out the community posts, and check out the Instagram for things that I'm looking at actively. So as always, if you guys can like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love, that really helps out the channel, and make sure that these videos get out to all the people. And if you can follow me on my socials, you guys can keep up with me a little bit more actively before or in between posts. But thank you guys so much for the growth of this channel, all my new subscribers. I haven't checked the numbers recently, but here they are. And all the new people, welcome. All the old people, thank you for helping drive the content of this channel. And as always, appreciate you. Peace.
Yeah.